Hey there, listener. Welcome to the Deep Share Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Rouse, and for the last couple of decades, I've slowly been opening my eyes to a very different world than the one I grew up hearing about. And the more conversations I have with interesting people, the more mystifying this world becomes. So without further ado, let's get deep.
We've got science to celebrate! Demons bliss now! After what, baby? Come on!
There is rebellion in the wind. It will be crushed.
Everything I've said is true. It's real.
Dinosaur fossils? God put those here to test our faith.
A damn lie. I saw them with my own eye.
Did IQs just drop sharply while I was away?
We did illusions, man! None of it is true!
I'm not insane!
This is mass madness, you maniacs! In God's name, you people are the real thing! We are the illusion!
So welcome back to the Deep Share. And tonight I am really excited. I have Ryan Dean here from the Dangerous World podcast. How's it going, Ryan?
Good, buddy. How you doing, man?
Good. And I want my audience to go check out what you've been doing. I mean, all your episodes are great, but lately I've just been obsessed with the series you've been doing on mind control. How many parts have you done so far?
Oh, dude, you're too kind, man. So I just actually put out the 7th, and that's the final one here on September 9th. It just came out. So,
Awesome.
yeah, man, it was a fun deal. I picked up this book called Mind Control, World Control by Jim Keith. And I thought that I wanted to do a series on the entire book. But right when I started reading it, dude, it calls itself the Encyclopedia on Mind Control, and it is that. Every single sentence is information. There's no fluff. So it's very dense reading. You could do an entire podcast on this book. It's crazy.
Oh, shit. Cool,
Yeah.
man. I'll have to look into that book for sure. Who wrote it?
Dude. Jim Keith. And you know what? I bought it like a sucker, but you can freaking you can get the PDF version of it online for free. You can just type in Mind Control, World Control book PDF. And you get the whole thing, dude. And I recommend it to anyone, dude. Anyone that is into this stuff. Hell
Yeah, man. I'll have to put that. I'll find it and put it in the show notes. I love that so many people that are putting out that kind of content, like, whenever, years ago or now, and there's so much free access to this. And I feel like that's the whole point, right? I mean, we're talking about freedom here. It's great that we can give people that avenue to check this stuff out without having to drop $1 on it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that he passed away some time ago, if my memory is correct here. And I mean, trust me, dude, I understand the idea of like putting a product out that you spend a lot of time on and wanting to get a little bit of money for it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like you said, get the stuff out there after like sales stop coming in, get it out to people so that more people can get that information in.
Yeah, damn right, man. That's cool, dude. So yeah, Ryan's series, man, has been intense. I mean, you've covered the occult and secret societies and that aspect. You've gone into the OSS, which became the CIA, and MK Ultra. I was on one of those episodes. That was a blast. Thanks again for having me on.
Anytime.
You go into the Nazis and that whole thing and HARP. It's just like you're covering this whole gambit. And it's painting quite an interesting picture. I mean, it's not all the time that you get to put all these things right together. A lot of times people will do episodes on this stuff, but it's just unique and scattered all over the place, all over the feed. But the fact that you're putting all these different angles together, I think is really crucial here, because it's just, you're hitting everybody left and right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. Thanks, man. I felt like it was a little confusing. But it's confusing to read. Again, the book is incredibly dense, dude. Like, I'm a procrastinator. So when I'm with a full-time job and everything like that, when I'm going to go and try and research for an episode, I always do make the same mistake. I'm always like, okay, I just need about 2 days worth of research for a chapter or two. Mm-hmm. No, man, you need like a week or two to really go into it. So as deep as I tried to go, man, I just scratched the surface of the book.
Right. I mean, you could do endless episodes probably
Yes.
with a million interviews. I mean, what I wanted to start off with was like, some of the most shocking aspects of the programs that you saw. I mean, because for the most part, you and I are embedded in this world. We're so used to these things that not a lot of stuff surprises us. It just kind of adds it and we're just check it off, like, oh, yep, they did that. But was there anything like truly shocking that you found out that you didn't know before?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Like, so starting in the beginning of the book, even, first of all, I found out that George Orwell is not this populist that he seems to be. He was actually a state sponsoring socialist. I mean, George Orwell, who wrote the book 1984, we quote it all the time as like, this dude was a G, like this guy was all about freedom and all this stuff. And dude, that was propaganda, man. It wasn't only predictive programming, it was propaganda. It blew my mind to hear that. And then just when you look into how infiltrated from the beginning the United States educational system was, right? And that is the most practical component of mind control when you talk about educating a child, right? You've got this guy Wilhelm Wundt, who redefined psychology, and he was actually the first person to ever call himself a psychologist. And coming from Prussia, coming from the region of the world that had this very unique school system where you have I think it's half of 1% of kids going to a school called academy. And this tiny group of kids, usually like elite, parents and so on, these kids are going to academy and they're learning how to make policies and how to be creative, how to really think on their own, the way that schools should be. And you've got I think 5.5% of other kids going to what they call real schooling. And this was to learn how to take the policies that this 0.5% of the kids would create, and they would learn the skills necessary to put it out to the world, that lower 94%. So think about like someone going to real school, and maybe that would be like a Bill Gates or people that we don't even know the names of that are so high up. And this real schooling would be like a Tony Fauci, or even like a Joe Biden, or if people may hate to hear it, but a Donald Trump too, Mm-hmm. And then that bottom 94% of kids went to Volksschooling, it was called. And that was literally zero critical thinking, learn how to take systems and work within them and work the most efficient way that you can while still following the system's rules. There's penalties for acting out of line, kind of like the way that we do school today, man. And right. That kind of blew my mind, dude. I think that society really works off of the Volksschooling method. This idea that everyone has the same set of skills, everyone learns the same stuff. Mm-hmm. And I mean, dude, I don't use anything from high school, like on my day-to-day life. You know what I mean? I don't know about you. I'm not speaking for everyone.
Yeah, I'm not using algebra 2 at all.
Yeah.
I'm sure plenty of people are, but it's job relevant. It's completely job relevant. Probably most of them are teachers teaching the damn thing.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this too. I mean, did you have like a tax class in high school or
Absolutely not. No.
I mean,
history was lacking.
Yeah, dude, I'm 30 freaking years old and I barely know how to do taxes. Like I need help with my taxes. You know what I mean?
It's intimidating, right? And we've all been bred that way at this point. It's all intimidation. The language is intimidating. It's like watching the news ticker about the stock markets. If you don't get it, it's horrifying. It's like it's like jumping into traffic trying to get involved in the stock market. You know what I mean?
Exactly, dude. Well, it's like catching a falling knife, dude. It's what the freaking stock market is, dude.
It's a great way to put it.
It's thanks. I mean, it's just a weird setup that it seems like they wanted us to be in the slave mentality. They really did. I mean, all this stuff really starts kicking off in the early 1900s. This is when like the Federal Reserve comes about. The FBI is born. The federal income tax is introduced in the early 1900s. And so when you have like this guy, H.G. Wells, I'm sure you're familiar with him.
Yep.
He was the spokesman for the New World Order during this time. He died in 46, if I'm correct. And he was known for science fiction type work, but he wrote books about the New World Order that were supposed to, I think that, if nuts like Alex Jones and stuff like say anything correct, I think that he is right about this idea that they feel like, and when I use the term they, it's, the elite, They feel like they want to, or they need to tell us what they're doing. And if they don't tell us what they're doing and they do it anyway, that's some like negative karmatic energy on them. Right. I don't know how you feel about that, dude. But anyway, this H.G. Wells,
because to me, that's revelation of method. That's that whole paradigm. You know, that's a deep well too, you know, and it's all connected.
Well, yeah, dude. And it's crazy because you get, you know, H.G. Wells writing these kinds of things. He gets involved with Hegel, you know, the Hegelian dialectic. His full name is George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel. And this is another Marxist, you know what I mean? All of these people that were intellectuals back at, you know, shortly after our country was founded, as much as we act like we hate communism, we sure put a lot of communists in power, dude. You know what I mean? And that to me is just the most insidious way to create a society. You know, they call it the American experiment for a reason. And I think that it is because we were set up as a country, I think, to look like this mighty force. You know, everyone here has a gun and all this great stuff. But I think that for people like George Soros, this is a great test to see if you can like take down a country like the United States, this mighty freaking 800-pound gorilla that, you know, is kind of different than the rest of the world in a sense. But I mean, our elites are the same, dude. Our elites are the exact same.
It's like America's kind of been the one in the spotlight, right? It's been the braggart, the kind of the bully, but also the preppy popular kid. You know what I mean? Like it's this polished cartoon plastic person that nobody really likes, but everybody tries to be near. It's just, that's kind of what I've gotten from it. And you and I kind of talked about this a little bit, I think, when I was on about the beginning of the country and stuff and how blurred the lines are. You know, I was just talking to Jay Hanahan from the How to Kill a Sacred Cow podcast, and we were talking how like you spend one day thinking the founding fathers were legit, and then the next day it's like, I don't know, was it all bought and paid for? Is it all set up? Was it set up from the beginning? Was it a little bit later? It's so difficult to figure out. And I feel like the mind control stuff is at the heart of it, because wasn't it going on from like the late 1800s, like early 1900s?
100%, dude. And that there wasn't this technology that they used. And, you know, we hear about MK Ultra is the one that I didn't want to spend too much time on when I was doing the series, because like, if you look up mind control, if you try to listen to a podcast regarding mind control, you're going to get nothing but MK Ultra stuff. Right.
Yeah.
But there is so much there. I think there's like 146 sub projects under MK Ultra. We're talking like Bluebird, Midnight Climax, which I know that you and I talked about a little bit. Yep. Artichoke. I mean, endless stuff. And you can go online and you can just type in MK Ultra sub projects. And if you got a month or two, you can go through and you can read all the stuff. They show patents. They show the technology about like brain implants. Weather manipulation, which, you know, if you can manipulate the weather, that is having an effect on people's minds.
Oh my God, in such a heavy way, dude. Yeah.
We're talking like the Juga radar. Yeah, exactly. Juga radar. Do you say HARP?
Yeah. Well, I said that's our home. You know, it's like, if they can manipulate our home to their advantage, like that's terrifying, you know?
Yeah, dude.
Just the archetype of that. Oh.
Yeah, it's nuts. And then like, I'm sure we'll get into fluoride a little bit here. I can actually give you the guy's name that brought, dude, I can give you the guy's name that brought fluoride to the attention of the United States government. He's a real scumbag. But yeah, dude. So, I mean, if you're down, let's get into the kind of weird mind control project. So you got another student of one, a couple that are pretty influential. You got J.B. Watson. And J.B. Watson was the dude that did the Little Albert Project, and this was a pretty screwed up little deal. He did a lot of weird mind control, and sort of they didn't call it mind control, obviously, but it was just trying to figure out how the brain works. And the most infamous from JB, sorry, I'm forgetting his name here, JB Watson, was this Little Albert thing where he would take a kid and the kid would play with a rat at the same time every day. The kid grew to love this rat, and little white rat, and every day coming in right after a snack or whatever. So it's all positive stuff, right? One day though, Watson brings the rat in and starts banging on the floor with a large metal pole. So, a little kid, 3 or 4-year-old kid, instead of associating the rat with like playtime, he begins like, his ears hurt when he sees this rat. He doesn't really understand that this dude is screwing with him, right? I mean, this is kind of the tragic part, one of many tragic parts about working with kids. So over and over again, every day, this dude is banging on the floor when the kid is trying to play with the rat. And it gets so bad to the point where this little Albert kid couldn't even see an animal of any kind without freaking out, dude. Like, it wasn't just like he would try and walk away from it. He would like, not literally, but like foam at the mouth type stuff, dude. Like just absolutely terrified. All
Breaks
stemming
my
from
heart.
this white rat and loud noises.
Jesus.
It's tragic, dude. And these are just the ones that we know about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and these were taking place at like college campuses at some point in history too. I know that like Georgetown University had a whole building put together all under the guise of something good, but it was all testing on like mental patients and death, terminally ill cancer patients with all kinds of shit.
Well,
Terrible.
yeah, I can jump ahead here a little bit regarding like Johns Hopkins. There's several schools, like you said, that really like the psychology department was where all this stuff was going down, oddly enough, right? And how insidious is that? First of all, taking someone that's trying to come in for help, they're admitting to their doctor that they're a little off in the head, and then they're like, okay, perfect, we can test on this guy, you know what I mean, or girl or whatever. But yeah, this John Dewey dude, he was the one that really created our educational system, like the cumulative curriculum type stuff, where like you go to first grade and then second grade builds off of first grade and third grade builds off second grade and so on. That was John Dewey, and guess what, dude? He's a Marxist too. I mean, all these people at these levels are freaking Marxists. Jesus. And yeah, man, it's just nuts. But yeah, so BF Skinner was another one of Once students. And BF Skinner is a very, very infamous name when it comes to all this stuff.
I was gonna say I'm familiar with his name, but I'm not sure what his involvement was. So I'm curious.
Yeah. Well, so he was in Army intelligence, created the Skinner box, which, the Skinner box, they'll tell you that this was all about testing on animals, rats and small things like this. But started using it with kids too. He started, rather than just putting one kid in a Skinner box, which a Skinner box is like an environmentally controlled, you complete a task and you go up and push a button on the box and it gives you some food or whatever. They started this with animals, then they moved on to kids. And instead of one kid, they would put several kids in these Skinner boxes at a time and attempt to create the collective mind of these kids. And this dude put his own daughter in it, supposedly. His daughter's name is Deborah Skinner Boozin. And if you look online, it'll say that she denies all these claims. She wrote a book denying the claims. But according to this book and according to a lot of other research that I did, she actually killed herself in her 20s because she was so crazy because of the project, the experiments that were ran on her from her own father.
Jesus.
Again, she denies the claims, which, I don't know how that works. I don't trust a lot of stuff on the internet. I actually went to just, yeah, it sure is, dude. I actually went to just go check this right now just to see if this Deborah Skinner Boozin actually did die like that. And I mean, it's so easy to manipulate those facts, though. So I don't know if that's 100% true or not, but I've heard it over and over again. And, of course, you can go online, just like you can go online and say, like, Bill Gates is the most powerful doctor in the world.
Yeah.
You can go online and see that Deborah did not kill herself. So
right.
Interesting stuff there, dude. But yeah, man, that's the main thing that got to me, was just how education was infiltrated from our beginning. Instead of learning for ourselves, we're taught to follow the system. And JFK, the whole situation that went down with that, I don't know, dude, if you happen to see the first commercial that ever played after JFK was assassinated.
No,
dude, it is worth your time to check out. So there's a TV show playing. I forget the name off the top of my head. It was a soap opera, and on CBS, they interrupt the soap opera, and it says, JFK's been potentially fatally shot. Jackie's with them. I think like they're getting them onto Air Force One or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And it cuts back. So by the time, soap opera gets cut off, public service announcement goes on. By that time, a commercial is rolling. And it just so happens it's at the very beginning of this commercial. And it's a pendulum swinging. It's literally a pendulum swinging, which is used in hypnotism. And it's for Nescafe coffee. You see the pendulum swinging. You see a lady put a coffee cup on a table. You see her stir it, kind of like the movie Get Out, where the hypnotist stirs the coffee and clinks a spoon on the side. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And the whole time the pendulum's going back and forth as to say, like, yeah, you're being hypnotized right now. And then the dude drinking the coffee for some reason had this really eerie kind of vibe to him. Kind of does that thing where he cocks an eyebrow up and just looks real shady, dude. But that was the first commercial ever played after JFK was shot. Just a freaking pendulum swinging back and forth.
Wow. And it's funny, the hypnotism is right on the nose with the mind control. And then on another aspect of it, it's almost like maybe back then, to anyone that saw it that was awake, like you and I are now, maybe it was that, how like today, if we see certain things, it's one thing to everyone that's not paying attention, but to us, it's like a straight mockery.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like a pendulum literally swinging, like keeping us confused, the Hegelian dialectic, right?
Yeah.
Divide and conquer. And they love symbolism.
They sure do, dude. And some people say like symbolism is going to be their downfall, and I would believe that if the people could come together enough to act on this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and agree on the symbolism.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I kind of did a thing where I saw a sign language book at the store, and this was the sign, and I'm like, I was kind of joking about it, but I was thinking, I was like, dude, out of all the signs that you can put on the book, why are you doing that one? You know what I mean? Why not like
and then
I
the
love
two
you
next to it, the two numbers next to it were 666 or whatever, like on the next book over.
Yeah.
I saw your post.
It was a trip, dude. Like
it's a synchronicity. It's like, why is the universe showing me that right now, bro?
Exactly, dude. It's like when I'm away from work, I work for a pretty major company. When I'm away from work, I try to like not pay attention to it, but I'll see like a semi with the logo going by like every day when I'm off, dude. Like it's like that kind of stuff. It's like, dude, like the world is showing me stuff that I don't want to see. You know what I mean? So
it's just giving you more of what you're doing subconsciously.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. So it's a trip, man. I think that you can find this stuff anywhere. And the whole hypnotism thing falls right in line with Manchurian Candidates. And that's actually what's on this most recent episode that I did. And
can't wait to listen.
Thanks, man.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Have you seen the movie Manchurian Candidate with Denzel?
I've seen both. I've seen the original, which is just as good, but it's a little dry. It's older, but the Denzel one with him and Liev Schreiber and everything. That
Meryl Streep, dude.
Yeah, Meryl Streep is awesome in that movie. And whatever about Hollywood, but for what they do, that movie was epic, and it told the story perfectly. I often wonder if, because they can only tell the truth in symbolism, it's like all these fictional stories that we see are kind of their way of getting their stories out to the world in some way, even as evil as they can be or whatever. Like they're able to like at least get it out of their system. Like, good, I told someone about how awesome and powerful I am, even though I can't really tell them.
Well, dude, and the whole idea with Hollywood working hand in hand with the CIA. I mean, with what's the movie Argo? I mean, like John Kuriakou saw Ben Affleck in the freaking CIA headquarters when he was working there. You know what I mean? And John Kuriakou's like the CIA whistleblower, pretty badass dude. It's a little side story about him, dude. Supposedly, just because some people like to think like Rudy Giuliani is a good guy in this stuff. Supposedly, and I'm not suicidal, but supposedly this guy, John Kuriakou, was trying to ask Giuliani and his team if they could get a Trump pardon, because this guy, John Kuriakou blew the whistle on like Abu Ghraib and like all these torture camps during the Bush administration, Obama, and all this stuff. So he's got like this overhanging kind of cloud of arrests, and he asked Trump for a pardon. Rudy Giuliani is sitting there with him with his two aides, and Rudy Giuliani gets up and goes to the bathroom. And when he's gone, the aides ask John Koriakou for $2 million, and then they can give him that pardon.
Holy shit.
You know what I mean? It's like, dude, no one is freaking pure at that level.
No, absolutely not, man. I mean, I've seen plenty about Trump. Plenty, it's they're just playing the Hegelian dialectic, the two against us. Red versus blue always, and the color stuff. Did you run into any color magic or colors in your research? Because I know that they like to use certain colors for a lot of to get us to feel a certain way, from what I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, there's the whole idea of like red and yellow make you hungry, and that's why McDonald's and Burger King and all these companies use it. I didn't get to anything in that book. I hadn't covered all the stuff. I may revisit more chapters later as far as colors go, but I would definitely say that there's something to that, man. But I think that it would be more backwards than what they tell you. Because if you notice in like an insane asylum situation, you've got a lot of white all over the place, and that's supposed to make people feel calm. There's this serenity to white, but I feel like white's kind of maddening, dude. Like, I don't know if you've ever been in like a plain house, like a house that you just, I mean, I've never really bought a brand new house, but like, I would imagine going and buying a house when everything's white. You got white tile, white walls, and it's just like, dude, you don't, like, it's not a home. It's not like it's comfortable for you. You know what I mean? I think that there's something negative to white. Not saying that there's something. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying there's something positive to black. I tend to find black to be more calming. I have a black bathroom. I painted my bathroom black.
Nice.
It's fun, dude. I got
metal.
I know, dude. You know what, dude? I even got a freaking I spray painted a fake goat head thing up in there too. So
did you really?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, man. I like to do a little shit like that. I'm
That's
into
awesome,
all that
man.
stuff, man. I think that it's fun, but
That's cool.
Anyway, though, dude, it's just the Manchurian Candidate connection with the stuff that I was looking into.
Let's go into that.
Yeah, dude, I saw the movie a while ago and thought it was just a great idea. I thought it was pretty sweet. Come to find out, dude, there's an entire chapter on this in this book, essentially describing the movie in real life, though. It's very interesting, like talking about how you'll get a call. If you're a sleeper cell, you'll get a call. Someone picks up the phone and they hear their name from a voice that they recognize, and the trigger word is spoken, and they black out, and the next thing they remember, they're in their home. So in the movie The Manchurian Candidate, let's say it's me, and let's just say I'm a private in the military. They would say, "Hey, Private Dean," and I say, "Yes." "Private Ryan Dean." "Yes." "Ryan Paul Dean," like my full name, and then that snaps you into your task that you have to carry out. He didn't say it in so many words, but he said that is exactly, the way that it works out. And the guy that actually disclosed this stuff was Colonel William Bishop. And he gave this speech. It was a NATO conference in Norway. And they talked about this stuff. He disclosed it to London Sunday Times, and they reported on it. And of course, the Pentagon comes in, says, this isn't true. He's talking about future products, things that we're working on. They discredited him right away. And I mean, he kind of walked his thing back a little bit, his statement, but he never fully said, like, no, like I was lying there for attention, like no one's going to be lying about that kind of stuff at that level.
No.
He might have just
intentional.
Yeah, dude, he might have just slipped up and realized that he shouldn't have said it, but who knows, dude? It's tough to know at that level what these people actually think and who they're really loyal to.
It's so tough, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you find politicians that really seem like they're going to be our heroes, and not necessarily even talking about Trump, but just, and not even politicians, but there's so many people on that level that say all the right things, even to people like us, like recently. I mean, I'm hoping this is just my paranoia. You got Roger Waters. I mean, shit, he's king of the world. I mean, he's Pink Floyd, he's been coming out hard against the establishment, and it's awesome to see. Yeah. But it's so weird because like he's rich as fuck. He's way up there. I mean, and I don't want to be that person to just be paranoid and assume they're all out to get us or anything. But you're right. I mean, at that level, it's hard to know what's what when you look into the movies and your favorite directors and stuff. It's like, well, shit. How could they not see this or not know this? Clearly, they're talking. It's just, it's a weird world when you don't know if you can trust those guys. And I often say that you have to let your heroes die often.
Well, I mean, so what do you think about this whole Rand Paul against Anthony Fauci thing?
Right. To me, it sucks because, put me 6, 7, 8 years ago or whatever regard I had for politicians, which wasn't much anyway, altogether. But a guy like Rand Paul, his dad, people like him, libertarians in particular, they were the closest I've ever come to feeling like I could get behind a specific political movement, But because of everything that I've kind of just evolved towards mentally, cognitively, I look at that and it looks like fucking theater too.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell the difference. And isn't that the problem? Right.
It's tough, dude. My dad, me and my dad are real close when it comes to everything, we talk about all this kind of stuff. And he sent me a picture of Rand Paul gun shopping. And to me, it just seemed like a theater moment, right? It seemed like, and it's his back towards the camera. So it's a great way to paint it in the mind of someone that, no, dude, he didn't even know that the picture was being taken.
Right.
You know what
this
I mean?
is just who he is, man.
Yeah. No bodyguards around him. Right. It's like, no, dude, that right off frame, there's a couple of big mother effers over there just hanging out, dude.
Yeah.
So
dude.
it's, to me, man, it is hard to see what's actually going on, but I think that it makes sense and it really is beneficial to at least know that I mean, I would just start by saying that nothing is true. Nothing that you're hearing is true, and try and prove yourself wrong instead of being the fool that believes that the vaccines are safe without any real proof. I'm not saying that the vaccines aren't safe, but I don't know. And I'm not willing to risk the chance, dude. You know what I mean? So
skeptical first, right?
Of course, dude.
Inquisitive
and
first.
That's what happened at the beginning of this whole deal, dude. Not to harp on about the freaking thing that everyone else is talking about right now, but
that's all right.
Right. I mean, you can't go anywhere without freaking talking about this crap. But at the beginning of this, at the beginning of this whole thing, dude, and I feel like this kind of plays into the whole liberal versus conservative mindset. Brandon, my old co-host here, very, very liberal. In the beginning of this whole thing in March, he was planning a trip to Disneyland. And I was like, dude, you better hold off on that because we don't know what's going on here. It's like, no, man, I'm just going to go. We're going to do our thing. And meanwhile, you see Nancy Pelosi in Chinatown telling everyone to go and give Chinese people hugs because we don't want to look like bigots. It's like, that's kind of bigoted statement to me. Yeah. Saying go find, do you know, freaking Italy had National Hug a Chinese Day. They called it that. Swear to God, dude.
So dark.
Isn't it? It's like we're so not racist that we're going to make everything about race, Yeah.
I mean, nationally, comedically, we've always called out the white person being way too not racist. The guy that's desperately trying to prove that he's not racist. And that's literally what they all are. It's so hilarious.
Yeah.
They've duped so many.
I know if you're focusing on nothing but race, it's pretty obvious that you may be a little racist, but so anyway, dude, we're sitting there and we at somewhere along the line, everything flipped. I mean, conservative people, more conservative minds. I don't really identify as conservative. I'm independent technically. But I definitely am more fiscally conservative. I don't think that homosexuality has a place in schools, for young kids and stuff like that. I got nothing wrong with people being gay, dude. That's their business.
That's a good clarification to make too, man, because I feel like a lot of people will say that first part and kind of get fucked publicly because honestly, let's take it a step back. Kids don't need any sexual training at that age. The books that were coming out that were controversial months ago, going out to 8-year-olds about masturbation and all that kind of stuff. That's unbelievable. regardless of the orientation. You know what I mean? So
Well,
I totally agree with you, you know, and when you're adults, yeah, fuck off. Do
yeah,
whatever you want.
exactly, man. As long as you're consenting, you're not messing with kids, that's great. But then when you start getting in
Yes.
the mind of a kid, like, dude, when I was young, I freaking got a dollhouse for Christmas one year, like a
Mhm.
big freaking dollhouse. You know what I mean? And I'm sure my dad was a little worried, you know, because I grew up in the 90s. I was all about this
Me
pink
too, yeah.
dollhouse, right?
Mhm.
I used to love Barbies and stuff like that. I really just took their clothes off and I enjoyed seeing what was underneath there. But you know, like I liked this weird, you know, kind of more girl toys. They were kind of dope to me. Like I was always kind of more artistic, always into drawing and painting rather than like sports. I played baseball and stuff, but I was into like art type stuff. Um, if I was growing up today, dude, they would, I feel, artificially program me to be either a transvestite or possibly gay, which again, you know, doesn't matter to me. But
Forcing
I
does. The forcing does matter. That
exactly.
that coercion big time matters.
Yeah,
One
dude,
way or the other.
let people grow up and figure out the way that they want to be because things change big time, dude. Like now,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still into art. I still love drawing, and but you know, I love football. I love UFC. I love more masculine things now, and I can't stand beta type dudes. Like I
Right.
can't stand that. You know what I mean?
Especially
So
the proud ones.
yeah,
That's the
yeah.
worst.
Like dudes walking around wearing dresses and stuff. That's it's weird to me. It's freakish. But again, you're a man. Do what you want. You're a grown dude. Whatever.
For sure.
Um, but yeah, man. So I forgot where we were at right there, but it's
Just,
just
you know, this is all talking about the same stuff. You know, they're kind of testing out how they can break down society, as you were saying from the very beginning,
yeah.
man. And it seems like they're doing it from so many different angles. I mean, of course, you know, we don't have to cover everything you've covered because I want my listeners to go check out that series on your podcast, man. Um, shit, what would you
Thank
like
you.
to get it? What would you like to tell me about what you learned? Seriously, because I know a good amount, but you just got into all this shit, man. And there's probably a lot of stuff that you didn't get to mention on the show. Is there anything that you'd like to get out that you've been dwelling on while you've been doing the series, you know?
I mean, nothing that I didn't cover because I spoke about essentially everything that I got into in the book. There is about half the book that I didn't get to. Once I realized how dense it was, I was like, okay, I can't read this whole thing and do a 30-part series on this. It's just got to be 7 or less, right? Um, one thing though was pretty interesting for me was like the whole like weather manipulation stuff and
Yeah.
how on record it is that weather manipulation is a thing. And again, weather manipulation does have some effect on our minds as well. Those electrical impulses. There's no coincidence that the names of these virus strains that are coming out now are the same as different waves in our brains. The delta is the lowest. Mu, which just came out, mu
Yep.
or mu. That one is a new one. That's the highest level. So I'm a little weirded out by, you know, okay, what do they have planned? Because they're following this pattern here. But yeah, Nikola Tesla spoke with the New York Times in I forget what year he did it off the top of my head, but he talked about a patent that he had in the million range. It was, you know, one of the older patents. Talking about how he had technology that could absolutely manipulate weather. It could burn an airplane engine 300 miles away and all this crazy stuff. And then you get another individual that worked for Arco, the oil company, doing the same stuff, talking about how, yeah, we figured out a way to control weather. He was really angry that the patent became public knowledge. This was supposed to be a secretive thing.
Mm.
And you see the aspects of how this whole thing can work out for an oil company like Arco. But yeah, dude, it wasn't that. That was just to cover the whole time. And they end up going in and then heavily pushing back that no, weather modification is not possible, even though it was in Vietnam. Operation Blue Nile was something that
Ooh,
they did
I
against
don't know about
Castro.
that one.
Yeah, that was something that they did against Castro to try and ruin his sugar crops. They were trying to intercept rain. They called it cloud milking, which sounds kind of weird to me, but they call it cloud milking. And the goal was to make the clouds that were heading in from the ocean over to Cuba would rain before they hit Cuba. And they accidentally kind of screwed it up and did it backwards. So it just dumped rain on Cuba. and it still ruined the sugar crops. But to me, this is where I think that Havana syndrome stuff comes in. They screwed with them back in the Cold War times with Castro. And so now, guess what? Your diplomats are gonna suffer permanent brain damage because you guys, kind of threw off our whole game there. So,
That's a good point.
are you familiar with Havana syndrome?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it's pretty dark shit.
It's weird, dude. Supposedly Kamala Harris got hit with it in Singapore, so I think that it's very interesting. I think that was probably not true. I think that they're trying to get her more sympathy because she's so
Probably.
unlikable.
Have you noticed that the Biden and her the past few days have been very not on the same page with their speeches? They seem to be telling different stories. And doesn't that perfectly kind of follow suit with what we've all kind of assumed what her role really is in this, to kind of eventually probably take over for the old incompetent man?
Yeah, yeah, dude. I think that was set up to be the case, and that ties right back into mind control. Oddly enough, because if you have two officials at the highest level of government giving contradictory messages, sort of like the idea of Fauci telling someone one week not to wear a mask and then someone the next week to wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
Us as grown adults, independent adults, we still tend to like someone that can tell us what to do with some authority, right? As weird as it sounds, at a subconscious level, adults like to trust authoritative figures, sort of like kids like to trust their parents normally, right? Now I understand there are outliers, but yeah, if we have definitive answers from our government, some people find nothing more comforting than that, right? Me personally, I would rather kind of think for myself and figure out what works out. With the internet, there is so much information out there that we can find out very quickly. I mean, I feel like everyone's become like a quasi epidemiologist in the last freaking year, dude. Like, people are talking about stuff and I'm like, how did you learn that? You didn't go to school? And like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, we're throwing those standards out a little bit, I think, in a healthy way, that not necessarily that if you have a degree, you're full of shit automatically, but the fact that the more the internet allows us to have access to these types of education at our fingertips. I mean, anyone can. It's the DIY movement, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's their own photographer now. Everybody can own like a professional camera. I have a podcast studio. You have a podcast studio. We can do it from our homes now, where 30 years ago it was like, wow, I hope I get rich and famous and I can do that one day. You know what I mean? It's all, I don't know. And then of course it's all pushed on us though too. So it's like a double-edged, it's like good, but it's like, where's it coming from? And maybe where is it leading us or something? They're giving us so much tech and they're allowing us to play with so much of it. And like, oh, it's all cheap now. You can all have it at your fingertips because the tech is your best friend. Don't worry, come along with us. We'll make it a part of you someday.
Well, dude, and I mean, that goes beyond mind control. Even that's like physical control, right? Like, at least, I don't know.
They
dude,
got the cat in the bag at that point,
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you've ever had this kind of go down, man. And like, I've had it happen just a few times, but it creeps me out when it happens. Instagram and all these different sites, they have like paid ads, or even your computer, there'll always be pop-ups on the side of some websites, kind of catering to what your algorithm, say like I'm a dude that, works at this place and I like watching this stuff and blah, blah, blah. They'll take what most people that have those same habits like, and they'll market directly towards you. But I don't know if you've ever been thinking about a product in your head, only in your head, and you never speak about it, but it pops up on your freaking back, like in a paid advertisement.
Yeah. And my wife as well. And it's fucking weird, man.
There's something about that, dude. There's a lot of people that can relate to that. And I don't know if they already have the technology to actually kind of at a surface level read our minds to a T. You know what I mean? Because I firmly believe, dude, that someone can talk about committing a crime in like a hyperbolic way and probably not get popped for it. But I feel like if someone's talking about a crime or thinking about a crime, and like a massive one, I'm not going to say anything specific here because, we're recording. But just if someone's thinking about something that would be devastating, if the government doesn't want that to happen, somehow it gets shut down. You know what I mean? So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, dude, but I think that the
It's a
technology
really
is already there to read minds.
That's it. It's you definitely bring up something I think about often, and it's that Sam Tripoli likes to say 4D chess,
Mm.
and people talk about looking glass. If you're familiar with that, with this very sci-fi idea that I don't know, I can't remember the origins of it, if they discovered it or they created it, but some technology to peer into the future, and that's how they're manipulating. It's all excuses basically of what we don't know, how they are able to. And we're talking, me, I love the ancient stuff, and
Yeah.
it's the same thing back then. They had no human time to get this so perfect. That's what's weird. And I know we're kind of branching off away from mind control here, but
No, I'm
hey,
interested to
it's
hear what you
all I've been playing with simulation theory lately, and not necessarily the standard version, but just the idea that the whole thing could be rigged. You know what I mean? I've taken a lot of acid in my day, and I've watched my physical form disappear in front of my cameras. Cameras aren't supposed to manipulate shit, right?
really.
So it's, I wonder, and DMT, of course, the whole physical experience around you can potentially melt away depending on if you break through or not. And so it's like maybe the strings are being pulled from outside the theater. I don't know, man. Because
dude,
a lot of times this 4D chess shit, right? Think about this. A lot of the symbolism they put in our faces and a lot of the synchronicities that all line up, that we tend to go, look at that. They're repeating themselves. It's happening over and over again. They're throwing it in our faces. It's so obvious and it's so man-made. So I'm lacking look, Saigon and a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
It's a perfect little example. We could give a million more of this fractal thing where it's like they just repeat themselves and they push it at us. And we see it in a certain way in the conspiracy theory community. Is this like Lucy kind of thing or whatever you want to, whatever rabbit hole you want to go down? But I see that shit happen in nature a lot too. And you bring up this algorithm thing, and maybe I'm just looking at it from a way more hippy dippy point of view, but it is interesting. I heard someone say once, what if all of our screens are actually blank and it's actually us, and the manipulation is still there. They're still doing something in place, but like a lot of it is actually, the Matrix idea that we're the powerful ones. We're that battery, we're that energy, and we're the ones that are like powering our own delusion maybe. And that goes into dark realms.
Yeah, dude, that's fascinating. I mean, that's what, that show Black Mirror, which I love, dude. I can't stand Netflix, but I love that show Black Mirror. Black Mirror is referring, I know that you're speaking of a different screen, but like, Black Mirror is a computer screen when it's turned off. That's what they're talking about there. Again, I know you were talking about something different, but I think
really, I'm talking about that too. Yeah. All our screens, supposedly it's all us powering all of it. It's crazy, crazy theory, but go ahead. Yeah. Black Mirror is a great parallel.
Oh yeah, dude. No, it's phenomenal. And they do weird little connections and kind of calls to this kind of stuff too. But what about fluoride, dude? Because fluoride is one of these weird deals. And that guy that I was mentioning earlier, his name's Charles Elliott Perkins. He was this American businessman, they called him. But he brought it to the attention of the elites and I think Johns Hopkins specifically. And he talked about how IG Farben partnered up with the Nazi Party back in the day when, the Holocaust was going on. And they gave the Jewish people fluoride for years before the Holocaust, or not just the Jewish people, but they gave people fluoride for years in order to, we always think like, how did this happen? How did all these people just walk into these camps? Because of the fluoride had a major part of it, and obviously taking guns away and things like this. But even while these poor people were at these camps, they were constantly given fluoride pills, fluoride in the water, and all this crazy stuff like that just made them so submissive. Because you would think if you're being starved and you're a skeleton with a pulse, essentially, why would you want to continue going on? You know what I mean? Like if there's no way out, and I mean, God bless the people that got out of that and the ones that didn't, man. It's a sad thing. It's one of the dark points in history for this earth. But it blows my mind kind of how it happened, how they allowed it to happen. And it's the mind control, dude. Hitler was into some dark stuff, obviously, but not just on the levels that we are familiar with. Major occultist. Goebbels was huge into propaganda, and he really mastered the art of mind control at that level, where people were so dumbfounded by the message that was coming across. And I actually believe, you mentioned acid. I actually believe that LSD is a type of fluoride. I know that it's given a lot of people, or vice versa. Fluoride is a type of LSD. And I know that LSD has given a lot of people like some very interesting experiences. A lot of them I hear are pretty darn positive too. But there was this operation that the CIA was running under MK Ultra called Operation Big City. And they would do things like take the subway stations in New York and pump LSD through the vents, dude.
Yeah.
Take like vehicles, and the gas that's coming out of the muffler is LSD infused. Obviously, we talked about the Merry Pranksters a little bit. They're putting acid on doorknobs and things like that.
Oh yeah.
But they
wanted to dose the world.
Yeah, they were trying to dose the world, dude. And I think what they also realized, the dude that was in charge of Operation Big City, he tried to put LSD in the tap water. So like, I mean, imagine just getting tap water and you're getting LSD. They realized that the acidity is so the water in the tap has to be pretty darn acidic to counteract the lead poisoning that you would get if it wasn't acidic, which is pretty screwed up too.
Yeah.
But so they figured out that LSD wouldn't live in the water that was acidic like that. So, what does is fluoride. And what this Charles Elliott Perkins was saying when he was trying to tell the CIA, and the, government, playmakers sitting there saying like, hey, you can give anyone fluoride for a year-long period and they will never be the same person, man, woman, or child. They'll never be the same person after a year of microdosing. That's just microdosing. So this is what we're getting in our tap water. And I don't care if you buy Aquafina or you buy any other kind of water, you're getting fluoride in that too.
Absolutely.
There's one way to get fluoride out 100% that I know of, and it's very expensive. It's called Kangen water. It's a Japanese method, Kangen. And it's a method where you've got a couple of platinum plates that the water runs down. The platinum electrifies the water and takes out the fluoride and like all the other chemicals. It keeps it like pretty alkaline for a 24-hour period or so. The fluoride's gone once you run it through this thing. But those systems, man, the cheapest one's $1,500. The more average ones are like $7,000. But yeah, dude, this dude's talking about how no one is ever the same person. No one is ever themselves after taking tiny amounts of fluoride for 1 year. So
wow,
I think that it's kind of interesting to think about, dude, that you're not who you really are, who you would have been. I'm not really who I would have been either if we weren't given tap water with fluoride in it from birth, man. It's kind of screwed up, dude. We are not as in tune with the earth as we should have been. Not in tune with a lot of things, dude. And I think that the people that follow the agendas more easily are more susceptible, just like any other drug. I probably have a pretty high alcohol tolerance. You may have a different tolerance when it comes to other things.
I had a high alcohol tolerance when I drank, for sure.
There you go. But I mean, you see what I'm saying? Some people don't have an alcohol tolerance.
Right.
I think that some people have a natural tolerance to fluoride. Doesn't mean that, we can communicate with other realms or anything, but I think that we can see the forest through the trees instead of, kind of just falling in line like a freaking sheep to the slaughter, man.
Yeah, dude, because I mean, you can take it to the like way out there spiritual level, or you can bring it down to hard science. Both can be complementary. The idea that fluoride does something negative to us on a cognitive level, call it cognition or call it, spiritual attunement or whatever you want. It is a thing with fluoride, and the idea that they've been able to sell it to us on this idea that it's toxic everywhere else unless we drink it. It's so wild, and that's weird, the mind control.
It's in your toothpaste most of the time. I mean, it's in a lot of
Gatorade,
things.
lots of stuff, man.
Dude, you know what I found that was kind of interesting? There was a guy that was in charge of the mind control department or at the psychological department. I call them mind control departments at Colgate University. And Colgate was the first ever toothpaste, to come out mass produced with fluoride in it like that. So I like there's these weird little kind of connections. I realize to some people it may sound like I'm kind of grasping at straws here, but I think that these little connections that seem so mundane, there's something there, in my opinion. So
You know what I say is that if you were watching a detective series or a detective movie, and which my father does, he's not into conspiracy theories, but he loves a good cop drama, and I used to too. You're watching people do exactly what conspiracy theorists do. Yet they're applauded by society because they're using their gut, they're going by anecdotal evidence, and they're piecing together a puzzle. And no one laughs at them. They pay them a salary and respect them and let them be the deciding factor in those cases. Isn't that interesting? So
yeah.
we get ostracized for doing that same almost scientific method, you could call it. It's funny how that's more the mind control.
Yeah, dude. Just to make one last point on the fluoride thing, and then I have something to add exactly to what you say about the mysteries versus conspiracies thing. The idea of what fluoride was supposed to be, it makes people more suggestible. So I mean, it makes people more because we're wondering, like, why would they want to put fluoride? Why would they just want to poison the people that work for them and blah blah blah? Well, not only are they poisoning you because they can get you into their healthcare system, which is just keeping you sick, but it's to keep you dumb. It's to keep you more suggestible. And I'm not saying that everyone's dumb that drinks tap water. I freaking have to drink tap water too. But it's kind of good, I think, to know these little, backhand methods that they use, right? So that's the only reason that I'm so obsessed with this kind of stuff. But yeah, dude, I talked with the guy, Bruce Sackman. He was a special agent that went around, and he's not a conspiracy theorist whatsoever, but he used the same kind of methods that crazy people like you and I do to really arrest some bad people that were killing veterans in hospitals. You know what I mean?
Shit. Yeah, I haven't gotten to that one yet. I got to listen to that one.
Dude. So just to let you know, my mic was weird for some reason. And I think I was just using my freaking computer mic, but dude, this guy, he arrested medical serial killers is what it's called. And these people kill on average like 60 freaking people, dude. They're like, the average serial killer will kill like 6 or 10 before they get caught.
Right.
These people like Michael Swango would literally deliberately give them too much heart medication. One lady in Italy was injecting in Texas, I'm sorry, was injecting bleach into people's IVs. A guy in Germany he killed like 400 people, just medical patients, people that go in to try and get treated, and they get killed because their families are annoying to the person working on them, like this lady in Italy, or just for some weird kind of desire to murder people. But yeah, you're right, dude. We don't look at people like Bruce Sackman and say like that guy's crazy. As a society, we say he's a hero. But if someone questions 9/11 or JFK, they're a tinfoil hat wearing scumbag. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But hey, I wear it proudly.
Damn right. You got to, just like Tyrion Lannister said in Game of Thrones, right? You're a bastard. The world knows you're a bastard. Wear it like a badge of honor.
There you go, dude. That's what it's all about, man.
Well, just real quick, dude, that, we were talking about predictive programming, right? And oh shit, now I just drew a complete blank on what I was going to say. So fucking
predictive program, dude. There's a lot of freaking movies and books about that stuff, man. It's insane.
Yeah, well, it's something you just said, and of course, my stoner brain just escaped, but that's all right.
We got fluoride. We got all this stuff.
Well, it was about Sackman. That's all right, man. It's floating around in there somewhere. But hey, man, it's been fucking real, dude. Thanks so much for coming on. It's always a pleasure talking to you, dude.
So, hey man, the pleasure is all mine, dude. You have a great show, and I think that it's gonna be huge, dude.
Thanks, dude. We're all rising together. I think, man, we're building this community together, one step at a time, one puzzle piece at a time, right?
Exactly, man. No, it's a great community, dude, and like people like you. I mean, legit, Bat's a fun show. Ron from New England.
From New England.
Yeah, man. Everyone is so supportive, dude. And like, I honestly, man, I love going on like your show. I love doing those just as much as I like doing my own show. Sometimes more, dude, because it's fun to like talk to people.
Hell yeah, and a little bit of pressure's off. It's like you're not the one. It's like, hey, what's this guy gonna throw at me? I'm just here to hang out.
Exactly, dude. Yeah. So thank you so much for having me on, man.
Absolutely. Just make sure to tell my listeners where they can find you.
Yeah, dude. Dangerous World podcast. I'm running it solo now. I used to do it with my liberal-minded co-host, who was a globalist. We used to debate on a lot of these things. He pissed a lot of people off.
Shout out to Brandon.
Yeah, man. Brandon's a good guy. He's doing his thing, dude.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I always push my Patreon a lot just because I try to, like I said, I'm trying to do this full time. So it's just patreon.com/dangerousworld. Got a store. I just noticed too, dude, that you're wearing one of the shirts. I really appreciate that, man.
Hell yeah,
how's it
dude.
holding up? Honestly, I can't see.
Dude, I've had it for what, like 2, 3, 4 months now. I can't even remember how long I've had it, but I wear it a lot. It's still in great shape, man.
Awesome, dude. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, those shirts are
well-
1776 for each shirt. And so yeah, man, just trying to grow my show a little bit. But yeah, man, thanks for your mic was blocking it, so I couldn't even see, dude. But yeah, I appreciate that a lot.
Hell yeah, man. All right, everybody. Well, go check out Dangerous World Podcast. Take it easy.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Deep Share Podcast. If you want to hear more, then hit that subscribe button. Follow me on all the social places. And remember, think for yourself, but don't always believe what you think. Till next time.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, that's hysteria. Enough, I get the point.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature. And you will atone.
What do we know? What do we know? If I know what we know, then I can tell you what we know, and if someone else knows, okay? I mean...